guy calls me, goes, hey, my 17-year-old daughter, she's in Guatemala. A bunch of men are trying to rape her, kill her, rob her, her and her girlfriends. They thought it was a good idea to go on a school girls trip to Guatemala for whatever, from Switzerland to Guatemala, right? And now they're in trouble. He goes, can you get my daughter out? I said, sure. He goes, or do you know anybody who can get her out? I go, if I tell anybody about your daughter, who you are, he's a he's mega rich dude. He's like 45 years old, owns a merchant marine company.
Yeah.
Anyways, I said, you ain't gonna get her back for not easy, right? So he goes, so I said, I'll tell you what, I'll go do it. I know the guy. I've worked for him before. I've done stuff for him before. In fact, he used to fly me to Singapore to train his German Shepherd.
Really?
Right? Yeah. Yeah. It was what a deal. I'd fly over there for a week, train his dog, hang out, come back another week, train his dog some more. That's how I got to know him. And he's had me do some other stuff for him. But so in this particular case, I knew his daughter. I said, listen, man, I'll go get your daughter, man. And because I don't trust nobody else at this point. So he paid me a lot of money. A lot of money. And so I flew over. So I left on a Monday morning. He called me Sunday night. I left Monday morning, like at 1 o'clock, flew to the Philippines, ended up at LAX. And by 7 o'clock that night with the time change, I'm in Guatemala in the capital, right? I land, poof. And so she had instructions. So I've already got her on my WhatsApp, right? With him on there and the mom. I said, I need you to meet me at this location. Can you do that? Yes. So she meets me at the airport, but she doesn't have her stuff with her, right? She's coming in from another area. Mm-hmm. I said, just meet me here. So I took her. We went to a Marriott hotel. I had the rooms booked. I put her in a room, make sure she had her food and water. I said, when I lock this door, you don't leave. You hear me? You don't come out for nothing. I don't care what it is. Don't leave the room. Yes, sir. So she stayed there, and I had to catch like an Uber. Mm-hmm. And I'd drive up in these mountains. That's where they were staying. So when they planned this trip, these chicks, right, these high school girls, they thought it was a good idea. Let's go to Guatemala, right? And so they pick a, what do you call it? A hostel, right? But it's like up in the hills in the mountainous area, and it's pitch black up there. There's no light. It's bad. It's like really scary shit. And the night they checked in, as soon as they checked in, dudes were coming through the windows, trying to kick in the doors and attacking all the girls and stuff, right? And so I got to go there to recover her suitcase. So I had the address and everything, and I'm driving up there, and I'm like, you got to be kidding. Who thought this was a good idea, right? So finally, I get to the hotel, if you want to call it that. It was a hostel. The guy had her suitcase, and I grabbed her suitcase. I brought it back, and it was probably about 4 a.m. by the time I got back at this point. And I roused her out of her bed. I said, grab your shit, let's go. And I took her to the airport. We caught the next thing smoking within a couple hours, and I delivered her to her mom and dad in Singapore Thursday morning. So I left Monday night in Bali Thursday morning, same time zone.
Wow.
I handed her off, right? So that's the example of some of the work I do. Had another...
no more like, surprise, kill, vanish type stuff.
Not that I can talk about. Hey, I got to be careful, man. That's why I won't mention some countries either. Like this next one, I won't mention the country because I may have to go back there.
Yeah.
So had another guy call me. He was listening to my podcast. So he's an American, and he actually lives in Bali. He's been there for like 20-something years. He's a surfer. Really good guy. Never been in the military. So he meets this girl from Vietnam, gets her pregnant, goes to Vietnam, thinks they're going to get married and have the kid, and she's got other plans. She's like, no, we're not getting married. Yes, I'm having the kids, and that's it. You know. And so anyways, they go through court for all this crap. Did I mention the country? Yeah.
No, I don't think you did.
No, I didn't mention the country. Okay, it's a different country. So anyway, long story short, she wouldn't let him see the kid, so he goes through an agency that would actually make the arrangements so he could see the kid. He spent a lot of money. No arrangements were made. He goes, hey, man, come on. He goes, oh, you got to pay more money. He goes, I already paid you money. They're like, oh, you arguing with us? So they actually had his passport flagged at immigration, right? So he couldn't travel. They pull his visa, and he can't work. He can't leave. He can't work. It's called a velvet cage. He's not the only guy I've had in this position. I had another guy in Dubai. Same thing happened to him. And so they're trapped in these, what we call, I don't know if Vietnam would be a velvet cage. Dubai might be, but not Vietnam. But anyways, so long story short, he's like, can you get me out? Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah, I can get you out. But we're going to have to do some talking, some planning and stuff like that. So long story short, I got him out. I can't tell you how I did it because I can't give that secret up. But basically, I didn't have to do anything with paperwork. I didn't forge nothing like that. It was really easy. Just walked him out. So actually, I could have swam him out too. There were two options.
Wow.
I had another guy that his wife calls me, and he gets kidnapped in Saudi Arabia. And she goes, "Can you find my husband? He's been kidnapped. How long has he been gone? A year?" I was like, "What? A year, right?" So something wasn't adding up. Then I find out later, after I'm in country, he's a billionaire. You're telling me this guy's a billionaire? He got kidnapped and you just now telling me? And she goes, "Yeah." Then I find out he's actually in a prison called Daman Prison, right? And there's a lot of expats in there, by the way. He's not expat. He's actually got dual citizenship, which is British and Saudi. And so while I'm there, I've got a couple guys with me, and all we need to do is confirm where he's at. We know we think he's in the prison. We just need to confirm he's in the prison, right? And so, but what we can't do as tourists, we can't actually actively do stuff like that because that would be considered like work, and we'll end up in Daman prison too, like for a very long time, like a lot of these guys, without ever getting a day in court.
Right.
And so as I started doing my research, I realized this dude's dad is a minister of oil and energy for Saudi Arabia. He's Forbes' top 50th guy, richest guy in the world.
What?
I said, how does he not know his kid's rolled up? He's got to know his kid's rolled up. His kid's like 40-something years old too, right? He's not a kid. He's an older guy. And something wasn't adding up at all, man. I was like, you know what? We're out of here, man. So she paid me a lot of money just to go do that. But I think there was something else going on. I think what she wanted to do is goes, yeah, I tried to find him. I paid people to go find him and they couldn't find him. So I want a divorce now and half his money, right? That's probably the play or all of his money because he's probably dead. That's what she's going to say. But those are the kind of jobs I get sometimes and I actually enjoy those. Others are, sometimes companies have problems with, this is actually something that's not just, this actually happens quite a bit. So a lot of times a company will hire somebody and maybe bring them on the board, right? They're an executive level, or in their IT department, or they're a family member, something like that. And what will happen is, because I've done a couple of these already, these characters will then build another internet system, an intranet system behind the company's internet system, right? So you don't know it's there, but what they're doing is they're siphoning off clients and money from the host, right, through their company. And they're stealing clients and they're laundering money, right? And so what happens is if somebody dials in and goes, hey, this company's doing that, they don't even see the company in the background. It's just basically invisible, right? And these guys just tear everything down and freaking leave. And this guy's got to prove how he didn't, launder money, whatever he did. I've seen it happen with very large companies, and I've also seen it with small family-owned companies where family feuds, and they're doing shit like that to each other. Literally stealing the companies from each other, siphoning money off, blocking everything so they can't get on. I had something similar happen to my first company as well with my business partner.
So what do they call you in to do for that?
Well, one, go in and try to go through the system and find the doors, and also try to pin down exactly who's doing it, where they're doing it, how they're doing it, right? So we have that evidence, so we can show that these guys are nefarious actors. It's very difficult in the IT world, but I've got a team that can do all that. I'm not smart enough to do it by myself. They can actually do all that.